Hey folks, we're at Belfast train station where Alan's got a story for us. I can see a moving creature here. Oh, there he is. Look at the lizard. Look at the lizard. We've forgotten the Boer. Well, look at the lizard. In he goes. Anyway, this station was attacked by the Boers, 7th of January 1900. This is
okay, station, that's where we are. Okay, as I said, the Gordon Highlanders were camped here. There's a colliery over there. Okay.
Yep.
This is the main town which we're going to be going through now, and this is Monument Hill where the Victoria Cross was won. So Ben Viljoen's attack is coming onto the main town. So he's going to keep the Shropshire Light Infantry headquarters busy under Smith Dorian. Okay, you've got Botha, not Louis Botha. You've got Chris Botha down here, who's attacking the Gordon Highlanders. You've got Commandant Wolmerans, who is attacking the Shropshire Light Infantry, who are in the colliery. What happens is the attack started at about midnight. Muller overran the Irish up here. So he took over the gun position. Commandant Wolmerans overran that position there. Botha couldn't get into the Gordon Highlanders. He was trying to capture them, but he couldn't. What happened at about 2:30 is that Ben Viljoen realized that the Shropshires were the Wolmerans with his commando were coming in. The Muller with his guys were coming in. He didn't know what was happening down here with Piet Botha. But the mist had come in and he was very scared of shooting his own folk. Right, so at 2:30 in the morning, what happened is that he withdrew his troops. Now at the same time that this attack was taking place, as I mentioned to you, there was an attack on Pan Station, on Bonnefontein Station and on Dalmanutha Station. But this was the prime target to take out communications at Belfast.
Alan, I'm getting a bit disoriented with the dates. So the war starts in October the year before 1899. We're now in January.
Yeah, but this is 1901. This should be 1901.
Okay, that
7th
clarifies
of January
it.
1901.
Yeah, that clarifies it. Okay. So this is the spot. Obviously the station looks nothing like it did.
And what we're looking is north over there. Okay, so to our left will be west, east over here.
Who was at the station, do we know? Just a few men?
Yeah, there would have been just Gordon Highlanders guarding the station with the Gordon Highlander camp just over here. Just over the railway line.
Just over the railway line, guys, were the Gordons in their kilts. Right.
There were no trees here. So if one has a look sort of past that monument into the distance, there was a long tom gun that was there during the Battle of Bachendal. And the unconfirmed story was that the Boers used the top of this as indirect fire line. So the Battle of Bachendal happens in the distance there. It's about 8 miles away. You got a long tom about 2 miles distant here, and what they were doing is they were using the top of that to get accurate fire. So it's called indirect fire. Yeah.
Right, yeah, wow.
Right, and this is where a VC was won. So on top of this hill, the Royal Irish Fusiliers were. Private Barry, when it was overrun by Commandant Muller, the post, there were quite a few casualties, and we can look at the casualties in a minute, but Private Barry went and spiked the gun, and in doing that he got killed.
He spiked the Maxim, did you, or just a cannon?
It was an artillery piece that they had up here, yes.
Oh.
So what he did is he took out the firing pin and put some dynamite down the barrel, and that was it. Spike it. Nobody can use it.
Is that what killed him, or the Boers killed him?
No, the Boers killed him. The Boers asked him to stop, and he refused to.
This is the monument for the Day of the Covenant, which was always a holiday when I lived here in the 70s. The Afrikaners really got excited. The Covenant was something about the Boers. You know, there's only about 100 of them, surrounded by 2,000 or 3,000 Zulus. The Boers said to God, if you give us a victory, we'll make this a day. We'll always have a holiday. Something like that. Of course, no, it's no longer celebrated. It's quite old graffiti on here. Might be able to get up a bit. Alan's not coming in. He's not sold on the idea. Oh, look at it. Hey, beautiful white marble. Broeder sen lachten doen. Here a boat. This is built in 1905. Commandant Burger. High Dutch. Of course, they always give you a biblical quotation to approve slaughtering of the Zulus. But yeah, this graffiti, I mean, this is graffiti from, it looks like 1902 or something. That's Belfast. We're just on the outskirts of the town of Belfast, folks. We heard about the outposts being attacked, the Gordon Highlanders at Belfast train station. We've been through Belfast town, where main camp was. We saw a building that could have been the hospital at the time, but Alan's not convinced. And up here somewhere, we don't know where the gun was spiked. Somewhere around here.
It was on top of this knoll here.
Somewhere on top of this knoll. John Barry, VC, the 1st of February 1873 to the 8th of January 1901. Born St Mary's Parish, Kilkenny Island, was an Irish recipient of the Victoria Cross, the highest and most prestigious award for gallantry. Barry was 27 years old and a private in the 1st Battalion, Royal Irish Regiment, British Army during the Second Boer War, when the following deed took place on the 7th and 8th of January 1901 at Monument Hill, South Africa, for which he was posthumously awarded the VC. During the night attack on the 7th and 8th of January 1901 on Monument Hill, Private Barry, although surrounded and threatened by the Boers at the time, smashed the breech of the Maxim gun, thus rendering it useless to its captors, and it was in doing this splendid act for his country that he met his death. His VC is on display at the Lord Ashcroft Gallery in the Imperial War Museum, London.
You can see it falls away on all four sides. So there's no evidence of where it was.
Somewhere in this vicinity, the VC was one for spiking the gun. I wonder what this hut is, Alan.
It's the hall that they put up, where they meet on the 16th of December.
Yeah.
So instead of
Thought it worth filming this reserve as we're coming into it. The scenery around here, this is Dullstroom. Said to Alan, any other tourist attraction with the word dull in it would probably not sell, but here it's if you're into fly fishing, trout, a bit of a feel of the Scottish Highlands, single malt whiskies, bit of greenery, then this is your place. Yeah, heaps of tourists back there in Dullstroom, all of them. Well, I don't know what they're doing there. Can't all be fly fishing and trying whiskies. But yeah, there were heaps of tourists. Oh, I can feel that heat coming in back of the eye. I was a bit fearful, you know. Various people worry about various things when they travel. My fear is always I'm going to be cold. So when I heard it was the Highlands, my initial fear was, oh no, I didn't bring a jersey or sweater or jumper. But I'm assured that I'm not going to need one. But yeah, fighting around here. We just came through a place or a vicinity known as Muckadorp. Was it Muckadorp? Machadadorp, where I've got an entry that some Victorians made of some casualties of Australians in the Machadadorp vicinity. A letter from Trooper MCH Morrison, F Squadron, 2nd Scottish Horse, riding to his mother from Middleburg on the 25th of July 1901, reports what happened. Quote, last time I wrote I was in Machadadorp. Since then we've been out on a 3-week trek and made this place Middleburg. Had a rather hard time and plenty of fighting. Have been seen, I may say I've seen enough, quite enough. Well, we left Machadadorp and the very next day out, the 3rd of July 1901 at Eland's Kloof, we struck oil, or rather lead, pretty thick too. F Squadron was scattered over a range of rocky koppies and never had a shot fired until the pom-pom returned to camp. Then it started. The Boers charged, a thing they seldom do, our posts and got within 30 yards. It speaks well for our chaps holding out. At one point, the one nearest the Boers, we had 3 men killed and 6 wounded. 2 of the killed belonged to the same troop as I did. Our sergeant, Ferns, was promoted to lieutenant for bravery. He went out under a heavy fire to give the wounded men water and to try and bring in a sergeant who was shot through the stomach. To give you an idea how close the Boers were, one of the killed, F. Clay, used the butt of his rifle after his bolt jammed. I was not out this day, being left in camp, my horse being knocked up. Well, the 3 men were killed. Lieutenant Corporal Wilkinson, troopers F.W. Clay and S.W. Whiting were all Victorians. So too was Sergeant Thomas Ferns, who had served as a private with the 2nd. Quote, well, we went on after this skirmish and struck them at Dullstruum. Here they opened on us with pom-pom. They captured off the 5th Vics. I happened to be well up this day, and it's not the pleasantest thing in the world to hear and see those confounded shells bursting around you. I secured afterwards a couple of the empty cases as curios. Then we made further north, and at Paardekloof near Ruis Senecal captured 5 prisoners, 16 wagons and 27 saddled horses. These we sent to Middleburg. Then we made western near Wagons Drift on the Olifants River. We struck 3 commandos, Viljoens, Trichards and Mullers. Around that part it is all bushveld, small prickly scrub, resembling to a degree mallee scrub. Here again we had hot fighting. Our casualties were 2 officers and 3 men wounded. Lieutenant Kelly of Western Australia and Lieutenant McCletchy, trumpeter R. Hansard and trooper R.L. Morton, all of Victoria, were wounded at Latzi Drift on the 15th of July 1901. One of the men belonged to my troop, which now holds the record, 2 killed and 2 wounded. That is out of 25 or 26 men. Not bad. The Boers suffered in all 3 encounters. It's estimated that our column accounted for about 50 killed, wounded and prisoners. Afterwards we went in and met the 5th Vics at Rietfontein. I saw Sergeant W. Thomas of Ballarat. He is well in good health. I also saw Lieutenant Sid Coulter, but did not get a chance to speak to him. This is a rough road.
We haven't been through Machadadorp yet, eh?
Oh, okay. Ignore everything I just said. But yeah, big wide open expanses, valleys and hills and fields, perfect for war gaming. You know, under big, perfect blue skies. Yeah, we're approaching this hilltop. I can make it out now. What they call a Sangar, a defensive emplacement where that pole is. There's a tiny little cemetery here. Wow. don't think... well, you'd never know. You'd never know from the road this was here. I don't know how Alan knew. Look at this. There's the road down there. Look at that big expanse of open land. You know, I think of a big ping pong table painted green with felt on it, and your little army men moving in formations over big open wargaming terrain like that. But let's get back to reality, because Alan's brought me to this cemetery where these men lay in the African veldt, and it's not vandalised, it's forgotten. Oh, look at this lovely one, erected by his sorrowing parents, the brother officers of the 1st Manchesters. Captain Angus Menzies, wounded in action close to the spot, 21st of January 1902, died the next day. The quotation is, "It shall be well with them that fear God." The Manchesters, yeah, I read about that. Alan gave me some reading to do. The Warwickshires. So these men, well, Captain Menzies, he died in 1902, was 6 months before the end of the war. So we just come through Dullstruan. I was just making a joke about having the word dull in your town name. And Sergeant Leach, killed in action at Dullstruan. I wonder if that is one of the Scottish regiments of the Shropshires. Eland Sprate.
That's the battle we're going to now. So
Another of the Manchesters. Did you want to look at the map?
Well, basically what this is, that's where we've just been through, Dullstruan.
Yeah.
We've now reached the cemetery over here. We're about to get to Eland Sprate. What happened is, this is called the British sweep of Dullstruan in April 1901, where Colonel Park was mobilised from Lydenburg. You can see Benson was mobilised from here. Colonel Douglas was mobilised from there. Colonel Pulteney was mobilised from there, because they'd heard that the Boer government were camped at Windhoek, and they were trying to capture the Boer government. What happened is that Viljoen was camped up there, where, you remember the fire that we saw?
Yeah.
Pretty close to where the fire was. And he tried to get out of this, and eventually had to go off to Petersburg. Petersburg is up there.
Yeah, right.
So most of these guys that are here were killed in action during that sweep.
Right. Kitchener, was he a front of the line sort of commander, or did he stay well back?
It's the other Kitchener.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Related?
Yes, brother.
Okay. So these are a little bit like the graves at Elands River yesterday down in Svartruchen, not to be confused with this Elands River. Scottish horse. Do you know what regiment that is? The Cutican Rook? Sergeant Leach. Do you know his he's a Seaforth, is he? Yeah, sorry, guys.
18th Mounted Infantry.
I was confused by the deer's head. The 1st Seaforth Highlanders. You can see that up there now, that Sangar. Okay. very rocky here. There's a nice metal cross, private gurney of the Hussars. I think Pete was saying that some of these metal crosses were made by women. Do you know what he was talking about?
Yeah, there was a women's organisation that started maintaining graves after the war, and I'm not too sure that they made them, but they certainly looked after them.
Right.
Yeah, but I'm open to correction. Piet knows more about it than what I do.
Do you have the identity of these men? They have no headstones?
I say I do, yes.
Right.
People are telling me I'm not allowed to publish it.
Right. And these are new headstones. Hussars.
You remember when we went to that cemetery at Rietfontein and there were 10 unknown soldiers?
Yeah.
And I told you that I think I traced the 10.
Yeah.
I think I've traced these 3.
Wow.
But, people are telling me, no, not really right. So I will publish something soon and then wait for the comments.
Sure. Anything in that Sangar up there? Good.
It's just
Sure.
but you're welcome to walk.
I was telling Jackie about my effort to climb this fairly minor copy, because she runs. She's a runner.
Oh, right.
The Hussars. They had fabulous outfits, the Hussars.
Yes.
Lance Corporal.
So he's one of the casualties from the Swede. He's a casualty. He died of wounds. He's a casualty. He's a casualty.
Oh, that's great. Any chance you could hold that and I'll just stand next to Captain Menzies?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. I was just trying to think, but in Iraq, when they were trying to put down that insurgency, they called it a surge, a troop surge, where they flooded more troops in to try and bring the insurgency to heel. Same sort of tactic.
It is, although what it's referred to is a sweep. So they had a sweep to try and hem them all in. And it was really the Transvaal government that they were looking for. Kruger had left by this stage, but there was Burger who was in charge, and Viljoen was really protecting the government at this stage. But they never succeeded in capturing anybody. You know, I think one has to appreciate that the British never travelled light,
No.
whereas the Boers travelled light. So when Ben Viljoen broke out of here, he burnt most of his wagons because they were slowing him down.
Yeah.
So he just said to his guys, listen, we're burning our wagons. What he did is he burnt 2 of his cannons, and he said, we now need to get out of here and we'll find food somewhere.